Disclaimer.
Why cheat when you can leave the relationship? Because you can't cheat when you're not in a relationship, duh. This is such an interesting take. The statement is beautiful in that it has more than one perspective/context, I think. There's the purely objective and factual one, which is the way most people would probably process it, but I think there's an underlying emotional context that you can give it too. For some people, in the back of their minds, they're doing something wrong when they cheat, and that's inherently more exciting for some people than just having sex when they're single, probably not unlike the rush that some people have when having sex in a public place. If you're one of those, you lose the rush of it if you leave the relationship, and without that rush, the sex is probably not the same. That's completely true. Like when I read it, my mind said, duh. But also, wait. Crazy if you think about it, but 100% of the people who cheat were in a relationship when they cheated. Some people want to fuck cake and eat it too, or something. Personally, I prefer apple pie. We'll just tell your mother we ate it all. Yeah, am I here for the fuck cake? I'm here to fuck cake and have serious relationships. And I'm all out of serious relationships. Some people get a dopamine hit in their brain from cheating and a sense of comfort and familiarity being in a relationship. They want both. Why would I abandon the safety of my relationship when I can simply lie? The logic. Oh, hi, my ex. My favorite lines are, "It was an accident," or, "Oh, I was drunk, I didn't know. My penis fell into her vagina. It was the damnedest thing, darling. I swear it. Total accident. I was lonely and didn't want to bother you." As if being cheated on would bother me less somehow. The best is, I didn't even come. Fucking whore. Well, it's an unwritten rule that it isn't sex unless both parties come. Fucking stupid is what it is. Or the one that got me was, I took my Ambien so I don't remember. Yeah, the good old foggy memory due to drugs as an excuse. I wish cheaters would just not bullshit once they get caught. Like you are absolutely caught dead to rights. At least have some shred of decency and just be honest. Yup, I did it because the opportunity was there and I wanted to. They're still trash for doing it, but at least they own it. Not proud of it, but I did it once upon a time. Never again. The rush and excitement of a new love is not worth all the guilt you feel, the pain you cause others, and the horrible feeling you get when you realize that you are not a nice person. In my experience, not everyone experiences the guilt, pain, or horrible feelings. Was cheated on for 7 years. She never said sorry, even once. That's awful. Really just seems to happen so much. The amount of people I know actively cheating on or being cheated on by their significant other is just staggering. I recently read a study where they measured the level of regret in women after episodes of high-risk sex. They were looking at hookup culture, but cheating was included. They identified a cycle of hooking up, regret, and doing it again. They postulated that the purpose of regret as an emotion was to limit the behavior, and that regret might grow with subsequent episodes. However, what they found was that the level of regret diminished with each subsequent episode, such that after several flings a woman engaging in high-risk sex has no regret at all. I recognize that hooking up is not exactly the same as cheating, but the study would suggest that once a cheater always a cheater is not necessarily true. A person who arrests cheating behavior early might regain mastery over their behavior. I.e., it suggests a marriage can likely be salvaged after an isolated failure, but an ingrained pattern of behavior might be irredeemable. Therefore, the standard Reddit advice of kick her to the curb might not be the best option, and a more nuanced assessment would be more appropriate. However, a serial cheater is likely to have a hard time getting control of their compulsion as their regret diminishes to zero. I'd love to hear opinions from women on this. Where Reddit gets ridiculous is when people advise to break up after a fight or more minor things that aren't a massive betrayal of trust but just someone having a bad day or messing up an event or something. Things that some communication could solve, or one-off screw-ups that aren't massive betrayals of trust, is where Reddit gets way too reactionary. However, for cheating, I'm going to agree with Reddit that in the vast majority of cases, you might as well just break up. People are of course free to do what they want, but I have never personally seen a case of cheating where they didn't eventually break up anyway. Could be a week, 5 months, or years, but in all cases the relationship was ill-fated and never lost that edge of tension under the surface. Not one of them made it to the happily ever after, so what's the point in staying? I am sure someone can come up with the odd "it all worked out for this couple I know," but they're the unicorn in the field of dead horses. Best advice when someone cheats is to just walk away. Yeah, there's a lot of "we've been happily married for 10 years and have 6 kids, but we disagree about the color of the drapes and Reddit will recommend therapy and instant divorce." Is there really such a thing as an isolated failure, though? That's the part that I think some of these studies miss. There's a whole series of 100 individual decisions leading up to sex. My ex-wife apparently cheated several times, and each time she went further than the last. That's what opened my eyes to realize that there's a whole series of going further next time steps leading to the point where most people consider the actions cheating. It's the same as any other form of abusive behavior in a relationship, and it's important to recognize there's way more to unwind than just "don't fuck other people." Throwaway boxer, in the case you described, she did not limit herself. I don't know how you found out about it, but I'm guessing it was not because she came clean on her own. I've read a number of cases where a woman is talking to a man, let's say a colleague, on a business trip. They have some drinks, she's tipsy. He walks her back to her room, they end up succumbing. She realizes immediately she cat up. She cuts the trip short, returns home, goes immediately to her husband to confess and beg forgiveness. She analyzes how she screwed up and learned from it. She told all. She offered therapy and complete transparency. Quit her job, complete no contact with her affair partner. The details are different in every case, but many cases have a similar trajectory. Cases like that strike me as salvageable. That's a very different case from serial cheater that gaslights across years, or women who fool their husbands into raising other men's children. There are also women who conspire with their affair partner against their husband. Not all cases are equal, and I think some are salvageable. I still maintain kick her to the curb is not the right answer for all cases. Like you said, there are a series of decisions that lead up to cheating. Let's take a night out with the boys that leads to cheating where I was so drunk might be the excuse. You had to initiate contact. Talking to women is fine. You had to escalate from a conversation to more flirting, casual touch, things like that. It takes time to do that when you weren't so drunk. You have to put yourself in that situation. Not that being drunk is an excuse. I've remained faithful to my wife for almost 17 years. I'm an attractive guy, even at 40 I'm an objectively good-looking guy. Just by nature of not having a beer gut, I'm already beating out a large portion of 40-year-old guys, and I'm not hard to look at to boot. I've had women flat out pursue me, and it's just a matter of not putting yourself in the situation where the escalation can happen. I had one gal that was my poker buddy. For 6 months we just played poker at the bar on Wednesday nights. We even went to a few parties together. One night at poker she gets me alone on the patio and she kisses me. From that point on I just never put myself in a situation where we would be alone together. And she worked at the country club where I was a member. If I was coming in off the course later when not many people were around I just didn't go in. At poker I stuck with the crowds. And there certainly weren't any more parties. Not that I was worried I was going to cheat on my wife accidentally. But don't put yourself in the situations where things could get to that. You have to create those situations, and it's not an accident. I came close to cheating once, and it was because I didn't admit to myself just how unhappy I was in the relationship. I kept telling myself I can make it work, then I was put in an environment that had several ladies that were happy to talk to me and be around me. That dopamine hit was massive, and I can 100% see how it can just happen. Luckily, I allowed myself to be honest about my feelings and broke up with my ex before I did anything. Do everybody a favor, always be honest with yourself. That's exactly how it happened with me, except it did happen, literally blew up my whole life and almost my career, and I still, 8 years later, am dealing with the shame and guilt of everything. It was happening way more than I realized and way too fast. The other person was providing me with all the exact things my relationship had been lacking. It was the perfect storm. Unfortunately, I went deeper into the eye of the storm instead of coming inside. It was the absolute hardest and worst time of my life, let alone the fallout with my partner and all the people around us. Learn from me, people. Don't do it. Unless you have no conscience or empathy. Which is the only possible way I see people being capable of doing this more than once. Yep. Almost the exact same thing here. We had been long distance our whole relationship because of job/school. Finally got to within an hour of each other, started a new job. Got closer than I should have to a coworker, knew it was dangerous but didn't expect things to happen one night until they did. I tried twice to break things off, but I couldn't process that I kept going back because I was so unhappy with my relationship. I ended up building a whole second life because I was happy in one but too ashamed to leave the other. And then when everything came out, I lost both lives. Everyone, rightfully, disowned me. Social life gone, and honestly, I'm too messed up emotionally to even try to start again. I don't even go to work events for fear of people who may know. In the moment, it was opportunity. Then it was a dopamine hit I got addicted to. And none of it was worth it at all. Just walk away and sort out your existing relationship, one way or the other. Ah, that's so tough. Luckily, I immediately told my partner. If it had continued longer than the 2 weeks it did, I can only imagine how I would have spiraled. Your life isn't over and you aren't a piece of shit. Go to the functions, who cares if people know? Keep your head held high and call it a tough lesson. A lapse in judgment and a big mistake doesn't mean you deserve your life to be over. The key is to reflect and learn. I have a family member with the exact same experience. I've heard it described as a trap that you don't really notice you're in before it has already digested you half the way. And the exact same advice there, don't do it. Yes, even if the relationship or marriage sucks. I have a friend that was acting questionable and I had to sit her down and describe it that way. You're in denial until you realize it's way too fucking late. It's very easy to get caught up in the excitement and feelings with someone new and interesting, but it's important to recognize that it's always a choice to hang out with them. It's a choice to spend time with them, talk to them, invite them to things over your partner. Having the strength to stop things before letting yourself get swept up in feelings and justifying your actions is made more difficult when things in your main relationship aren't going well. Cheating is always a choice of a person. You cannot cheat and follow your principles, or you can cheat in your relationship and lie to your partner, giving him false hope for your joint future. How rotten this world is. People, be honest with yourself first. If you are not satisfied with the relationship, leave, and do not immediately run to cheat. You can also watch other videos by going to the channel. I will be pleased if you like them.